Yes, you should be able to.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's so fun to talk to a college crowd. I've given some lectures and classes, and it's really fun.
Well, they're, you know, this is their path. So they're heading into the industry. So I like to bring industry professionals so they know what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, I see behind Marissa over there, you've got the bodies behind you.
Yeah.
And same with Jewel. You've got you're putting some clothes on.
Yeah. They're working on their senior collection.
Okay.
So these are my scenes. So this, and then next semester, starting in January, will be their portfolio. They're putting everything together, you know, and then we'll be showcasing their senior collection designs, yet to be determined how.
Super cool. Well, I really value everybody's time. That's so exciting. That is so exciting. Let me know when you want me to kind of.
Yeah, let's go ahead because I know you're busy. And oh, let me admit, okay, I have one more student coming. Okay, let me just admit her. Okay, so I have Vicky. Okay, let's see, is Vicky? Okay, Vicky's here. All right. I'm missing just a couple more. They may have, sometimes it's really hard, you know, with the links and everything, but I don't want to take up your time, and I am recording this.
Awesome.
Daniella, so hopefully what I'll try to do is upload it. It'll probably be a big file, but I'll upload it and send it to you via one of those WeTransfer or something. So.
Oh, sure. Or you could put it on YouTube. Or can I put it on YouTube? Does anybody mind if I put it on YouTube? My channel is, it's fine. It's business.
Okay. Yeah. If someone doesn't want to, but I think it'll be fine. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Well, I'm super excited to get to know everybody here. And I know you mentioned that some people had questions, but you guys probably have no idea who I am.
So give us a little intro.
Sure. Here, let me just pull up my screen so let's see, let's hope this works. Can you guys see my screen? Wait, that was not what I wanted. So I'm Daniella Platt. I'll just start with share. Show all of this. Here we go. Okay. There we go. Becoming a sales rock star. Okay, can you guys still see me? I haven't like totally shrunk to nothing.
We see, yeah, we can see you on the side. You know, everybody can fix that, you know, if you need to, but yes, and we see your PowerPoint.
Okay, and I'm actually, it's funny, I don't usually like to have PowerPoints, but I feel like I want to keep us on track. So, and even for myself, because it's just easier to have recognition. But thank you, Julia, for inviting me to speak today. This is super fun. You and I met when I was giving a Instagram chat with WWD Magic, which was also super fun.
Yes.
So I can just introduce myself. I'm Daniella Platt. For nearly 2 decades, I've been in the business of fashion, sort of like, who in the world is Daniella Platt was kind of like how I call this slide. But for the last 20-ish years, I've been doing business development for brands that you know, from Montblanc, Hugo Boss, to Visa. I was at the Apparel News. I was an account executive over at the Apparel News. I know you guys are familiar with the Apparel News. I was the account executive there for more than a decade, and I currently write a monthly column for the fashion manuscript. So I've been in the industry for almost 2 decades, and it's been really fun. I really love to build brands. So what happened was 4 years ago, I had been corporate, and I was doing my thing, and I was really loving it. And then 4 years ago, I was at the Magic Show, and I was really nauseous, and I was falling asleep. And that has never happened to me before. And I don't know if any of you know where I'm going with this, but that moment at the Magic Show, when I tell everybody, you are unstoppable. That is what I want everybody to be with your craft, with your art, with your vision. I want you to be unstoppable. I found myself really sick and nauseous. And then now I have a 4.5-year-old. I found out I was pregnant. And that moment, I just decided I need to do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of been on this journey the last 4 years of consulting, helping brands. So I've packaged all my knowledge up, and I've been working with brands one-on-one, helping on the entire spectrum. I call it from concept to sales. And in the last year, I got even busier and I had a second child, and I was like, I kept hearing creatives ask me 2 questions. One was, I have an idea of a clothing line. Where do I begin? Of course you can have a clothing line, of course. And the other question I would hear often is, how did you land that appointment? And I just felt like these aren't secrets for me to keep. They're for you to have. They're for me to pass on. And I sort of like jumped ahead of all my slides already. But so I even wrote a book on it, Looking Good. It's called Looking Good, The 10 Commandments to be a Sales Rockstar and Fashion Startup Playbook. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I've been in the business for literally 2 decades, and I'm so excited. I have workshops and books, and I do consulting, and it was really fun. And I'm here to just share with you guys on the business side of fashion. So how does that jive with everybody?
Perfect. That's what I've been telling them too, because when I was at school to be a designer,
mm-hmm.
you know, the creative side is pushed and everything, but then I graduated and it's like, wow, there's a whole world I don't know about, you know, in terms of business. I mean, I was learning things from my internship that turned into my first job, but there was still not enough, you know. And you're right that these are not like secrets, you know. And I know, you know, Frances Harder is like my mentor over the last 20 years. And there's just so much out there. And I know, I mean, for me, when I started teaching about 14, 15 years ago as a side gig. I didn't expect to do it. It was just one of those things. The industry is always like highs and lows and so forth. But when I started teaching, I kind of wanted to be the type and share the information as some of my great teachers did, you know, that this is not secret. This is, you know, it's better to collaborate. And it's funny how I had some of my friends that were also in the industry were upset because they said, well, why are you telling students how to do this? They need to learn. Let them suffer through it and everything. And I'm like, but why? Because the ones that shared, you know, they're going to learn anyways, but why not put it out there? You know, why make it more harder than it is? I guess, you know, that's my philosophy.
Yes. And I also feel I wonder if you would agree, but I really believe that every one of you is creating something magical. And if I could, and you could help you get to that magic 12 steps quicker, and then you get even quicker, what kind of magic really lies ahead? And as a creative soul, I'm not a designer, but when you show me the works that you're creating, I'm blown away. So if I could help you with that business side, because that's where I excel in, and I could free you to just create, then imagine the possibilities of what could happen. And I call it the real PPP, like people, product, endless possibilities.
Right.
So that is like entirely the zone of what we do. And I really advise everybody, like, be persistent in this is like kind of my mantra: be persistent, be consistent, make connecting to others, make it like a dance. It's not a contest, it's not a race. Yes, your masterpiece is always in the works. But you know, you have deadlines, you have things to do. So just keep going and keep going forward, and keep being true to yourself, and working on your art and giving your aesthetic what it needs to, especially even today when the world is so different, but your raving fans still want your artwork.
Right.
And I look at clothing like artwork. And especially, like, people are always talking about, like, what do people want today? People really want things they love. People really want to be passionate about the products that they're wearing. People really want to feel a connection to the things they're purchasing. So I encourage everybody to just do your art and, you know, take the knowledge that Julia and myself that we could give you to help put your looks in the world, and do it quickly. I kind of shared with you this slide already, but it really is a struggle for people to get appointments. And I didn't know this as I was, and you guys can chime in if you like. Is there a chat box? You guys can throw in questions.
Yeah, and I told them that they should have some questions for you afterwards. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I get more, I'm not going to really get into like the details or anything, but like the weeds of things, but you know, I didn't notice that there was a struggle. I was seeing people like walk past a booth at the magic show, walk past a booth at LA Market and not ask for questions. And I thought, why are you missing opportunities? So that's where it hit me. I started to write the 10 Commandments to be a sales rock star, just to really help designers never miss opportunities. So I'm curious for you guys, like, what are your big ideas? Like, do you want to see yourself in stores like Revolve, Bloomingdale's? Like, are you thinking you want to have a direct to customer presence? Are you thinking of publicity? Whatever it is that you want for yourself, I just want you to like be clear on that, and whatever you want, you could go get it. So I like to take a group picture so here's the thing, when it comes to like building, let me stop the share. I like to take a group picture because, so what happens is everybody smile. So it's really important. Everybody always wants to grow their audience. Everybody always wants to network. And one of the greatest ways is social media, and it's getting together in group chats like this, but how do we find each other afterwards? So I always like to make sure I get a group picture, so everybody smile. Let me lean back a little bit.
Where's Nada, Vicky? There, you guys. Come on, you guys. Hold on.
Somebody's blocking. Okay, I see the masks. So I'm gonna post this on. So my handle, I'll drop. It's looking good. Yeah. I can drop it in a second. But I'm gonna post it there. And the first thing I always tell people is, you know, you have to get connected. So in this case, I know you guys are all friends and you probably all work together. But in the case of like the WWG Magic event where you and I had met, or a fashion mingle where you're going to meet, you're not necessarily going to, after like the Zoom is over, you're out. So it's really important to take advantage of like, how do you be a virtual sales rockstar? You have to meet, you have to grow your network. So I'm going to take that picture and I can put it on my Instagram, and you guys go in and drop your handle in there. And if you can drop your handle in the chat as well. That way I know that we can stay connected afterwards, and you could grow your exposure. So wherever you are, always just make sure that you're grabbing people's handles and finding a way to take them out of the network you're in to engage with them in a personal space. So now what I could do is, great, I'm going to post that picture. I hope you guys like drop your handle next to it. It was so nice to meet you. I can now see your works. Yeah. For 30 seconds, I am completely like ready to talk to you. What is your big idea? And I can see what you do. And you can also grow your influence and your following, because my Instagram isn't as large as some of my other networks, but this is a great opportunity for you to, let's say, if I'm giving the talk or somebody else is giving the talk, you leverage their network. So always make sure that when you are in a group format, to like find a way to get everybody's contact information.
Networking. Yeah, networking. I keep telling them that. Connect on LinkedIn, you know, reach out, especially now some of them are looking for internships and everything. So, you know, I'm looking into some of the contacts I know and everything. So it's building that network, you know.
You have to build your network. So you could do it on LinkedIn, you could do it on Instagram, you could do it on Facebook. There's so many ways. And here, I could just, I'm going to tell you guys that everything is on Daniella today, but my Instagram handle is looking good. Yeah.
So there, yeah, write that down, you guys. Yeah, and I think I've shared it with them, but if not, looking, you know.
Yeah, and I can email if everybody wants. I can email everybody everything afterwards. Okay. Well, I'm going to invite everybody to come, but you have to network. But it's hard to network if you're removed, or how do you connect with people? So the one way is definitely to like go on the group chats and make sure you find a way to get everybody's handles. And then you download it and then follow them and ask everybody just for a few minutes of their time. Just would love 1 minute of your time to look at, you know, I could show you my pieces, and that's it. And people will do that, no strings attached. but you've got to actually find a way to get people to mingle with you outside of the Brady Bunch grid. So that's kind of funny. Yeah. So
yeah, it is.
I know, right?
Yeah,
but you know, this is your Zoom house, and this is your, where did you go? There we go. It's interesting, like there's, you know, we all have 3 houses now. We have the house we live in, we have the space we work, and then we have this box we live in on our screen.
Yes.
This new digital world. So we do. So here is, okay, so let me just this is kind of a cool thing. So Julia, you were mentioning this yesterday. Here's kind of an interesting company. Are you guys, I don't know if you guys have heard of Ali Shoes.
No.
So they're a marketing partner of mine, and there is a code in there if anybody wants to buy a pair of their heels for $40 off. But here's their story. Here's the reason I also want to put it like in front of you guys. So this is Samantha Dong, and she was, I believe, at Goldman Sachs. She was doing money management, some type of like financial business job. And she has a bucket list, and what's on your bucket list? Everybody has like, you know, several things they want to conquer in life. Well, hers was she wanted to go to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
So she's with her friends and she's going through Mount Kilimanjaro, and she falls. She falls down the mountain. Oh, she breaks her leg.
Ugh.
She can't move. Somehow she makes it home. And over time, she goes back to work and gets back to life, but realizes she can never wear heels again. She can't walk. Mm. And that's how ideas happen. So I know a lot of you guys have ideas. You're thinking of ideas, but life brings you new ideas as well. Mm-hmm. In her case, she worked in, you know, for a financial company, and shoes was not in her, never even something she knew about. It was not anything she knew about. She didn't know anything about it, totally new. But determination, as well as the interest in market research and science, pushed her to say, I am dedicated to making women better women. I am here to solve a problem for women. And I asked her, I said, how did you even know that there was space for you in the industry? I mean, what makes you think that another brand is going to fit when you have so many alternatives? And you just really have to believe that when you have an idea, you have to go for it. But to go for it, you have to do some research, because you want your idea. We all can have great ideas. And I had the same conversation with Chinese laundry as well recently, probably about a year ago. Everybody can have ideas, and they're great ideas, but we need to figure out a strategy and execution behind them. So when it came time for Samantha to say, I'm going to create a heel, she partnered with a podiatrist as well as a design expert to create a heel that would be power heels for women minus the pain. So when you walk in a 3-inch heel, you feel like you're in 1 inch. And that's sort of how the idea was born. But I'm bringing this to you to show you the possibilities of what could happen when you have your vision and you stay true to it and you create a strategy and execution. She went out and she interviewed women. Okay, now I have a prototype for a shoe. But what do women want? Mm-hmm. She found that women wanted nude shoes. But I'm looking at everybody on the screen right now, and I'm thinking everybody here thinks of nude as a little bit of a different shade. That would be some people think. So if you look here at the picture in the middle, this was their launch collection. They went out, they figured out a supply chain that offers near customization to be able to turn around an almost perfect shoe in 2 weeks to deliver a woman, a pain-free, comfortable 1-inch feeling 3-inch pump that is near perfect in the desired shade of nude that they are feeling. So they launched their brand with 5 shades of nude. And they have blacks, and now they have some other colors, and they even have flats now because I can't wear heels anymore. But my point that I'm trying to make here is that when you have your idea, you have to figure out who you're targeting. Mm-hmm. Who's it for? Yeah. What's it about? You have to do your research, and you have to listen to what they're telling you in response, because you could create what you love, and we all want to create what we love, but create for that person who's your end user. Create for that person who they're the one who's going to wear it, because you don't want to have the merchandise and just sit on it yourself. So you have to kind of figure out who is it that you're creating for, and create for them. And that's how she launched with 5 shades of nude, because that's what the market research told her.
Right.
So I encourage you, I call it an avatar. I don't know if that's like the term that you guys use, but like that's your ideal customer, your ideal girl, your ideal guy. And you don't need the largest audience. Mm-hmm. You just need your raving fans to love you. And when other companies come up with like a new release, like Florence and Lace, that they could do it in their own internal Facebook group, which might have a following of 300,000, and sell out before it even goes to the public, mm-hmm. because they've listened to their avatar, they've listened to their audience, and they've listened to what they want, and you create for what they want. So I kind of just wanted to share this with you about, just to like give you inspiration for marketing.
That's great, because she looked into before launching and just coming up with the idea and saying, I'm just going to put it out there. She made sure that there's a customer base, that they mm-hmm. wanted it. So she had to validate it. So validate, what she wanted to do. So you're right. I mean, it wasn't just having an idea and just doing it. She wanted to make sure she had a customer, right? So her primary customer, because they're the ones that are going to buy it and keep her in business.
Exactly. So exactly. And ultimately we're here. I mean, we all love fashion and we love what we do, but you're in business, that we're not in a hobby. The greatest thing is you can do what you love, but you want to find out you're delivering a product that your customer is going to love. Yeah. So you have to do your research and find out who they are, and then create for them. And they're going to love your products, but especially when it comes to something like fit. And in this case, they're an investment piece. And I also think if you're going to create something that's a little more high end, mm-hmm. you're going to need to do the market research even more, because you want people to really make that investment and join you in the journey and really love it.
Right. So the target, and I told them they can create a muse or an avatar, who is that primary customer. You may have like a secondary and a tertiary, all these other people who may buy, but it's that primary customer that you really need to know, because he or she is the one that is going to become your loyal customer. And once you have them, you have them. You don't have to try to grab them, do customer acquisition, which is a different conversation, but, cost wise and everything. So validating who you're designing. Otherwise, you're right. If it is just a hobby, you're just doing it for yourself or your family and friends, and you don't need to make money, then it's a hobby. But this is so much, our industry is so much of a business. The creative part is a small portion that you need, but it's the business aspect that we have to know.
1,000%. So I hope you guys, check them out. If you do decide there's the link, but just check them out, because they're
sounds great. Because I broke my foot a few years ago, and I was always a heels girl, but ever since I broke my foot, it's like I can only wear like 2 inches or whatever, not my big heels. And it just, so this is very interesting. So I'm going to check them out. Yeah. But it's a great concept, because there's so many, and I love the nudes because there are so many different skin tones. So, she's thinking of all the diversity, and especially, we need to think of everybody, and I love that, because the nudes, there's so many different tones of that. So this is like a great concept.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because I also, and we could talk about another time, but I also feel like clothing, it's really important emotionally for people to dress like a VIP. And women and men too. I have a friend, he'll say he only wears his Gucci shoes for signing deals. Fashion matters. Fashion is really important from a psychological standpoint. When people feel good, they can own the world. And for women or men, it's shoes. For me, it's lipstick and earrings, whatever it is. Everybody has something special, and you are crafting that. And that's what sales is, making sure that they know what you have, because you are going to change their life and make it so good. And that's why getting your message out and being able to deliver it for your raving fan is so important. So that is like market research. Okay, check mark. We covered market research.
Yeah.
The other thing before I get in, I put them together like exposure, influencer marketing. So have you guys heard the term OPP besides like, you know me, or maybe I'm dating myself, but I want you guys to just have a script. So being in magazines, being on podcasts, being on other people's platforms, even in your school, like to me, this is OPP, other people's platforms. It's Google food. The more you get your name out there, the more exposure you have, the more recognition you have, the higher you can actually amplify your message and get your way in the world. And oftentimes it's free. Not always, and you still have to work an editor and you still have to do it, but you can do it. And I'm a columnist, so I just kind of like dropped in some articles that I wrote. I think maybe you know Anna Kenny because I know that she's pretty involved with there. But anyway, you can get on podcasts, you could get on stages. This is a great way for you to get your name out there. And I left you guys the script. Here is the script. You just, say your name, your specialty title. Like I would say I'm a concept to sales. I'm Daniella Platt. I'm a concept to sales strategist here in Los Angeles. But, tell about your designs in a way that just like makes you dazzle. Tell like, how did you find out about the show? And then one line about your product and 3 elements or qualities that make it unique. Like if you want, you could do this later, but this would be the script of like, your name, your specialty title, how did you find out about the show? One line about your product, 3 qualities that just make it really unique. I'd love to be considered on your show. I feel like my audience is in line with your audience, or sometimes it's just so broad. But do yourself the honor of taking advantage, finding out like what magazines are out there. So how do you even do this? Let's say you want Fast Company magazine, which is back to Allie's shoes. They were written up in Fast Company magazine as the most comfortable shoe in America. So how do you do that? Well, you could hire a publicist or you could do it yourself. Find out the top 10 magazines that you want to be in from, it could be our local apparel news. It could be the Fashion Manuscript. You could be Fast Company, Entrepreneur. It could be a local radio show, whatever it might be. Make your list of 10 and do a little Google search. When you find what you like, find the name of the editor. Every single resource out there has a platform, whether it's the LA Times, business journals, every resource out there has a space for you to pitch yourself. This is the script, just especially for podcasters, just pitch it and go for it. The more you can amplify your message, the better you are. And then once you're on stage, you could put out an offer. You could tell people where to go get a look. You could tell people where to go next. And you could direct people, follow me on Instagram. I run a contest once a month. Join my Facebook group, whatever it might be. But it gives you this free platform to amplify your message and to bring people back into your castle, so to speak. So this is like one way to, you really want to stand out and amplify and take it and it's free. Because I know you want to like break through the noise and get out there and get seen. And here's the crazy thing about this. It works. You have to do it. And I didn't believe it until I started doing it myself. But if you ask for it and you're clear on what you want, you can get it. So, here's your script for exposure. And then here's something that I'm so excited about that I have to tell everyone. Does anybody want to meet a billionaire and pitch?
Yes.
Well, so this is perfect for you, Julie. I'm hooked and I go. So I thought that I had all pitch perfected, and it turns out that there's billionaires and sharks all around the world, and they are home right now eating caviar and taking calls with other sharks and having great conversations from their jacuzzi. But then there's this woman. I don't know if any of you guys know Forbes Riley. She lives in Florida. Maybe you remember her. She was the girl. She's famous for Body by Jake. She's the one who worked with Jack LaLanne and brought the juicer to market.
Oh,
She
wow.
now has the spin gym. Somehow along the way, she's made $2.5 billion. And she's in Florida and she's a powerhouse. And she brings together people all the time for all different events. And I've been in her masterminds where crazy stuff is happening. So here is what I encourage everyone to do. And I'll if you can get everything that I talk about is available on that link where I put Daniella today. Okay. Everything, there's links there for everything, but she's available and she hosts a pitch class on Sundays. And it's not just fashion, it's everybody. It's just you and me learning how to pitch ourselves or pitching your line. And you have the opportunity to get in front of a 2.5 billionaire, $2.5 billion billionaire and show your work. So wear your clothing, give your name, show what you're up to, and she can give you advice for $19. So I encourage everybody to kind of just take advantage of that.
Wow.
So that's kind of a unique thing to like, how can you get in front of, because people work so hard to get on Shark Tank, to get, you know,
yeah.
how can I influence? Like I want Lori to be with Lori Gray, or I want to be in front of Reader. I want to be with like Barbara Concord. Like people work really hard to get in front of these people. Well, she's available and she's having a blast. So I encourage everybody to take advantage of this opportunity. So beyond that, I'm looking at everyone's screens. When you're ready to pitch, you don't have to worry about this today.
Yeah.
But I would suggest, you know, try to give yourself like some bright light, a nice background. I tell everybody to practice what I call sales yoga. You know, just be calm. Know that people are out there having like this really odd experience. Some people might be numb. So just ask a lot of questions to people. You just ask a lot of questions, and I call it bridging. Like just ask questions, relate yours to them. Ask questions, give them love, bridge yourself to them. Like I was driving, I'm from New York, so I live in LA now, but I'm driving on the Triborough Bridge and I see Manhattan in front of me and I'm coming from Long Island. How can I connect the two? You have to connect you to them. Mm-hmm. So how are you going to do that? But love on them, give them what they want first, and ultimately you're going to give them what they need. But you have to make your connection. So I call that sales yoga. Like just take a deep breath, listen. Always think of the other person first. So here is, so you guys, this is like my favorite sales script. I use it 100 times a day. Okay, maybe not 100 times a day because I only speak to 2 people. Are there any questions, by the way, in the chat? I didn't really look. This is my favorite sales script. So now you have the how to pitch yourself for the podcast script. Mm-hmm. This is, if you want to like get an answer for somebody, this is how it goes. This is my favorite sales script. I know you're very busy. This will only take 60 seconds of your time. And you don't even have to write this down because it's all in the book, which you can get on Amazon Kindle for like $3. So I know you're super busy. This will only take 60 seconds of your time. And like suddenly you feel free, like it's only 60 seconds. 1 or 2 sentences about who you are, but like make it dazzling. Like I'm Daniella Platt, I'm a concept to market strategist, but I just launched a podcast and it's called Creativity, where I interview designers all around the globe. Make it dazzle. And it doesn't even have to be, well, it doesn't have to be true, but you could have made it up yesterday and that's true. Just make yourself dazzle. I'm the president of the upcycle, you could be upcycle textiles of downtown LA. Like you can totally make whatever room you're in right now, you're the president of it. Mm-hmm. And it's an association or an organization, and whatever it is, make it dazzle. So I know you're very busy and you get a lot of emails. This will only take 60 seconds. 1 to 2 dazzling sentences about who you are and what you do. And then 1 or 2 specific sentences about what the recipient can answer quickly. I totally understand you're really busy. Just 1 line, if you can share with me, would make my day. So in practice, you guys, anybody want to try it?
Well, they're going to have to present at the end of this term.
Okay.
So, you know, where they have to introduce themselves, and that's where they could do this quick pitch, you know, and that's what I'll be practicing. But this is like a great thing because you don't want to go on and on and on. We don't need to hear your whole life story, but just who you are and what is your aesthetic as a design. What are we going to see? You know, kind of just really putting it all in a nice little package, you know. So this is like a great thing for all of you, because at the end of term, you will have to present your senior projects and everything. Does anybody want to take a shot at it? Marissa is going to call out on you.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, let's have Marissa's.
Hi, I'm Marissa Soto. I know you're very busy, and I know you get a lot of emails, but this will only take about 60 seconds of your time. I am wanting to launch a streetwear brand that is inspired by geek culture and pop culture, and I want to create almost like theatrical wear for street that is really easy to wear and incorporate in your day-to-day life.
What's your ask? What are you asking me? Would you like, I'd love your opinion of my collection. Can you give me your opinion in 30 seconds? Would it be something you would even, I'd love your opinion in 30 seconds of would it fit in your store? I would love your opinion. I know you've been in the business for 30 years. Can you share some advice?
Okay.
And just always end in a question. Always end in a question. Well, it would make my day. That's not a question, but always end in questions. People can't resist questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's perfect because when all of you will be presenting, so like Marissa, when you present to the guests and everything, and I'd love to call back Daniella for that. That'll be in December. But you know, that's how you say, I would love to have your feedback about what you're going to see. So, and then you can say, okay, here's my presentation. And then after that, you want questions, you want comments. And even if they aren't like, you know, if they sound like criticism or something, take it with a grain of salt, because you are presenting and getting a variety of feedback. We can't please everybody, you know. I mean, that's why this is great, because each of these designers, Daniella, are different, you know, which is great. And they all have their target market, and that's what's wonderful. So some people are going to gravitate and some people won't, and that's okay, you know. But I love that, like asking, you know, so that's what you would do, Marissa, is you would ask questions. You would ask, you know, the viewers what their opinion is, you know, because that's why you're pitching, you know. I mean, that's basically in essence, you know, you're pitching your concept too, correct? Am I right, Daniella? Or
you're pitching, but you're doing it in a way that you want a complete response so quickly that you're not even on the main stage yet. This is like you're cold calling, and I am coming up with the line, and I really think you're gonna love it because I know you're a pro and I have so much experience. Can you just take 30 seconds and eyeball it and give me your opinion if you could see it at whatever it is?
Right.
It would make my day. And you're asking just one thing. Mm-hmm. And that one thing, usually people will have time for one thing, and usually one thing is going to be pretty nice and amazing.
Yeah. And
then you can get your bigger pitch in. Mm-hmm. But this is like your shot for like, I've never spoken to you before, or we met just one time, and I want to make sure that I get a response. Mm-hmm. And it works. And definitely when you're on a stage and you can ask, like, can I have more comments? Can I have more feedback? But people are actually aware of that, and they're ready for that. But in this case, you want to stop somebody dead in their tracks in the middle of their day, and they're busy. You want to command their attention. Mm-hmm. You're dazzling them. Yeah. You're asking just for 60 seconds of their time and for one thing where they're in their area of expertise.
Yep.
So I didn't get into so I have the whole 10 commandments to be a sales rock star, and that's a whole workshop. But like part of it also is to always sort of end with a question. So even when you, it's not really a question, just say, okay, you know, just like kind of be like, are you with me? Like, are we clear? Or, you know, are you in agreement with what we're talking about? Like always end with a question, because people will always, oh yeah. So yeah, hang on to the script, but you don't have to write it down unless you grab a screenshot. Let's see what else. I'm out of order. Okay, there we go. So the other thing I just want to encourage you guys, because I can't overload you, is just be powerful when you speak and when you're pitching your product. just be powerful and don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't use words like, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this will be a huge seller in your store. I believe it and it will happen. Believe it to happen. Not I think it will be. Believe it. So really be powerful with your words and be conscious of it. I mean, this is kind of a funny thing that you could play with throughout the days, just being conscious of when you use the words believe and think. I believe it will happen, and believe is really just much stronger. Mm-hmm. You can use words like I will, not I can, and just come from a place of leadership. Don't use words like yes, I believe so. Stand by your statement. So those are 2 nuggets that I have. I have so many more, but I don't want to overwhelm you. So just, you have my absolute favorite script. Stand by your words. I don't know that I got a chance. I was going to tell you to also be pro-choice. I like to call it, when you make an offer, always give people 2 options. Do you know when you go to a restaurant, like a confused buyer never buys? You go to a restaurant, there's so much on the menu, you're lost. But if I told you, A or B, so I'm always encouraging people, like put your 5 shirts as package A and your 6 pants as package B, and just say, I have these 2 packages. One could be $50 and one could be $400. What do you like? And at least that way you'll know their budget, you'll know their color range, but don't give too many options. Give a lot of things in that choice that you're presenting to them. But I always say a confused buyer just gets really confused and walks away. So when you're putting out, hey, just do like 2 things. Hey, do you like this or this? Mm-hmm. And it kind of works for dinner also, at least in my world. Like if I say to you, hey, what do you want for dinner? I don't know.
Yeah.
But if I say to you, like, do you want sushi? Or how about sushi or Thai food? And you're like, ooh, Thai food sounds good. Tomorrow we'll have sushi, and then we'll have barbecue. And then before you know it, not that anybody ever goes to bed hungry, but dinner is planned for the week. And it works the same for when you're pitching your product. Just offer choices, and people will say, oh, I like A, and I like a little bit of B. And that's where, then I could work with you on a deeper level of like, how do you negotiate your upsell and so forth. But just if you make it bite-sized for them, your response is going to be like, quicker. Yeah. So hopefully that helped you guys have some insight. You have 3 sales tips. So you guys can get, I could send you it's like these scripts. I call it my free gift starter pack. Okay. You guys can, just email it to me. You can go to my website. Everything is on the Daniella.today website. Like there's all the links. So just go there, put in your name, and I will send to you all the scripts we spoke about today. My PDF to get started with like how to figure out what your big idea is. I also have a list of the best email subject lines to use that usually open doors for conversation. So that is my free starter gift. And then what else can I tell you guys before I even get into it? I gave you homework. Sorry, I'm like moving around this box. So when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So you guys can get my free guide to sales and fashion. It's going to include like the scripts, a couple other tips. So I do have workshops, and they're pre-recorded. I don't know if you want me to give the prices or not because you're a school. But
email, or students can email you.
Yeah.
Them. Yeah. So that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give them to you, like, I usually have them for, like, hi, but I'm going to give them all to you for really, like a special. The book is on Amazon, Looking Good, The 10 Commandments to Be a Sales Rockstar and Fashion Startup Playbook. Most of everything that we spoke about is in the book, and it's really remarkable. Like, just earlier today, where'd it go? I feel like I don't use PowerPoint. That's right. Okay, here, just earlier today, this woman said to me, one listen will not be enough. There's so much good information covered. And kind of like for every stage, I call it the 10 Commandments because it's a 10-step system, but for every stage there's a different way you're going to speak. So the best script of how to open doors is really when you're meeting somebody, follow that script. because I don't want any of you to miss an opportunity to reach a buyer. I don't want you to miss an opportunity. It might look on the outside like it's not your target market, but you have no idea what else is brewing in that warehouse of theirs. Every opportunity, every conversation, there's something else behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So I want to encourage you guys to just like every stage of the way, there's different scripts and different ways to talk, whether it's like how to get your yes, you know, how to, no means never ending opportunity. So there's so many different ways to get your yes and to showcase your collection in the world. I'd be delighted to learn more of what you guys do. I'm happy I'll send you the details if you want the workshops. It's another course, which I'd love to teach. But yeah, hopefully these help you. What questions?
Yeah, so let me have your questions. So I'm just going to go down, you know, so since I have you up here, Marissa, sorry. Question. Because I know you guys are still, you know, in school and everything, you know, and there's a lot to take in, but kind of think ahead. Like if you were ready to launch your brand, let's say, even if it's a few years from now, you know, or any, whatever question.
I can't think of anything right now. Oh, hold on.
Because I know it's a lot to take in. Well, then let me think a little bit. Let me just jump around. Vicky, because I know Vicky is looking to start something. She's kind of there. Yeah.
Hi. So basically, I just have this plan. Sorry.
That's all right.
I have this plan to start like how do I explain? It's kind of like, I don't know how y'all feel about this, but it's just that I'm trying to start up a brand where the target audience is aimed more towards 16 to 25-year-olds, men and women. And I know I'm going to start a brand where it's going to be kind of like a rip and dip style, kind of like something you would see at Sumi's or something, like, because the prints that I would like to use would be sort of added like humor in there, or the colors would be very vibrant. And so kind of have like a 70s theme type of print, but obviously a little bit modern to where this generation could connect. Mm-hmm. And so basically that would be like, okay, so it's going to be called Oatmeal, and
Oatmeal,
and so
Oatmeal.
I just feel like it's so simple and funny, and like that's kind of part of me, so I wanted to add into it that I love oatmeal so much. And so
spruce it up.
Basically I already created this domain website that I just got started with. It's gonna be called I Smoke Oatmeal, because basically so back to like the topic here, the plan with the store is gonna have like something a smoker shop would have, so like ashtrays or anything like that, like etc. Because I know that the 19-year-olds and 25-year-olds of this generation, like it's going in that direction, as we also keep like legalizing it in certain states and stuff. And so basically I see a vision where I see a store somewhere in Melrose or somewhere in Sunset Boulevard where, you know, the top is where, you know, people go up and, you know, buy those tools or whatever. Or like CBD products, I'm thinking about natural plant-based products in there. And then, you know, at the bottom, it would be where like, you know, the clothes. I'm thinking about like cool shirt designs, pockets, you know, just stuff like that. And so that's the end goal. And I know it's going to happen one day. And so that with that, I have a future fashion brand that eventually I would like to get to, which would be more my true passion would come in, because, you know, I would be mainly doing all the sewing. Well, I would like to have a team where, you know, we would get to sew and work with fabrics, and it would be much more serious because there's like an end goal that I'm trying to get to, and that just personal.
So the hardest thing is getting clear on what you want, and when you know what you want, you can go for it. So
Yeah.
you know what you want. Let's go for it. Let's get you what you want.
Yeah.
What's next on your journey?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
focus, a little bit focus, because I see, you know, brick and mortar store down the road. Great. But like your line and like your name, like the oatmeal, you know, and then again, thinking of names. And I think that's the other thing, Danielle, that's really important is the name of your brand, because you want people to associate, you know, with it and remember it and everything. So, but I think focus a little bit, Vicky, in the sense, let's say your clothing line, let's start with that. What is it that you want to, you know, you have your customer in mind, the description, their lifestyle and everything. And then what are the items, you know, what are the designs? What are you planning on doing? How's it going to make you stand out from everybody else? Right, Danielle? I mean, that's, you know, I'm asking, you know, how.
Yeah, I think so right now, my advice, well, you guys are in design school, so your resources are a little different. So when somebody from like outside of your design background will say to me, hey, I want a clothing line. How do I even start? So my advice, and you could tell me like, no, I'm in school, I could do more. But my advice is take one or two of your designs and start. Just start with one or two pieces in 2 or 3 different colors and just start. I'm not sure if you're cutting and sewing, if you're using blanks, how you're actually I'm not sure on how you're physically producing and and what your turnaround time is. I'm not sure, like, do you have the products ready to go? Whatever it is, test 2 or 3 pieces in 2 or 3 different colors. And if you could produce it quickly, like if it's blanks, I know, like I work with Deluxe downtown, they can produce a collection in 2 weeks. Right. So whatever, but if you're doing something that's more cut and sew, maybe you need like 30 to 60 days or 90 days to actually produce.
Yeah.
When you're so clear on what you want and you're building a community and you have a specific vision and influence, and this goes back to Ali's shoes, people will wait the time for you to, I don't need your product tomorrow. I believe in what you're creating, a movement and a community. So if you say to me, it's going to be available in 6 weeks, I'll buy it today because you've created that momentum and the movement. I love that you said it. Did you say it comes with oatmeal also? Like, because you love oatmeal. So I think people will really buy into that, and nobody's going to mind if you want to test 1 or 2 pieces, you build this momentum, and it takes 3 or 4 weeks for it to arrive because you actually have to produce it, which that's the whole process of being an artist. People will be willing to enjoy it and make it a lifetime piece. So my encouragement is like test 2 or 3 pieces and see where you can go with it.
Yeah, thank you for the advice. I was also gonna ask also a question, like, cause you know, since we are going into the sustainable movement, and like I'm pretty like passionate about that myself. With the t-shirts, I was looking at, you know, Wix, because that's actually where I started, like, you know, trying to create this website. I saw Wix is connected to Printful or Printful or something like that.
Is it with Printful?
Yeah, Printful.
That's like a print-on-demand program?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I saw that, and like, there's just not enough products. So how do you connect? Like, I want to go for an organic type of t-shirt. So how would I connect that to a website where, like, would I have to email the company or like?
You would have to contact a blank company that has, if you want to start off with blanks, for example, like what Daniella said, and I agree with her, like test 2 or 3 concepts. And if you want to start with blanks that are organic, for example, you're going to have to research those blank companies. I think there's one called TS Designs. I have to look through my sourcing, but then you have to find out from them what their minimums are and everything. I mean, you can still have it done and you can still connect it to the Wix. So it's almost like if you have like a Zazzle store, you can still connect it to your own website. So you can showcase it. And when people are ordering, they're actually going to Zazzle to place their orders because they're made print on demand. Oops. Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, that's how, you know, so that's something, Vicky, that I can help you with, you know, and then we can be in touch with Daniella. But I think what she was saying too is focus in, because right now there's a little like, you know, we heard like you want to do the brick and mortar, which is great. You would put that in your business plan, which we didn't touch upon, but like having a business plan is really important to do your, you know, that's, I'm sure Daniella knows that, you know, that talks to people about all that, but having a roadmap, you know, your, what are you going to follow rather than taking things from here? Let's try this, let's try that. And then before you know it, you've spent all this money and you haven't tested it, or you don't know, you're not clear on your target market, how to reach them. You know, that's why the marketing is, how are you going to market it? And, you know, I don't know what you said about the oatmeal, but if you have products and oatmeal is the name, maybe doing, you know, your hang tags, it's a packet of oatmeal. You know, you put all your information on an oatmeal packet, right? I mean, wouldn't that be cool, Daniella? I mean, that's
so cute. It's so good. It's so clever.
That would be
you say
so
you love
clever.
oatmeal. It's so cute.
Yeah. So, I mean, that kind of stuff. And Daniella knows, I mean, you know, marketing is her forte, but, you know, having the concept is one thing. How are you going to get those customers to even come to your website, you know, and even to work with a company, like whether it's Blanks or Cut and Sew, you also have to convince them. You got to pitch your idea to them too and be clear.
Oh yeah.
So I think, so I'm not going to, there's the ISS show, the Imprinted Sportswear show.
Right.
And that is in January. I used to have it. I'm looking around my office. I used to have their full listing, but there are print-on-demand companies within that. And if you're thinking like of one-offs, there was one in particular, I think it was called like Awkward Designs. Mm-hmm. But if you're thinking like print-on-demand, you don't really have that much of a risk, right? Because you're just putting up your designs and you're going to print it out. But like companies like, I don't know, Tabitha Spielvogel, she has Upcycle LA here, and she actually makes, I talk about it in my book and my workshops. She actually makes, I wrote a whole article about her. She makes t-shirts out of water bottles. I think it's like 50, I have to look it up. I think it's like 50 water bottles to a t-shirt. They're not cheap. Upcycle turns 5 water bottles into a t-shirt, making a sustainable line attainable for all. Mm-hmm. So in Tabitha Vogelsong. So what makes that interesting is that it's attainable for you. I don't know if it's cost-wise affordable for you, what kind of minimums you need to have. Perhaps they work already with the Printify, print-on-demand places, so you don't have to absorb the upfront and the overhead and worry about shipping. But it makes it attainable for you. And they're right here in Los Angeles, so you could physically go see them. You could also work with something like Deluxe Screen Printing, and they have minimums of 25 pieces. So if you know that for sure you have your loyal fan base, you can for sure have 25 pieces. That's going to go. You can actually work with a screen printer here in Los Angeles to test it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's different things. I mean, that's, you know, something like whether you're going to go and do print on demand, or if you want to launch a cut and sew, just understand, you know, how are you going to go about that? Or if you're going to work with a factory, they need to see something. Usually, you know, they'll give you a quote, you know, on the prototype sampling, this and that, you know, getting the patterns done for production. So if we're talking production, that's a whole different entity, you know, in terms of, and then financing. So thinking of how you're going to finance, you know, your line. And thinking, you know, that's a whole different thing, and being in touch. I mean, there's a lot, I mean, that's the great thing of being here in LA. We have so many places, you know, but how do you approach them and knowing what your minimums are, how many you have to sell. And then remember, you know, the best thing is for you to be your salesperson. So if you want to get them into retailers, how do you meet with a buyer and everything? And, you know, I mean, that's pitching, right? I mean, that's
pitching. OPP. Can everybody drop their handle on the chat, by the way? If everybody,
yeah,
so
everybody,
I can check out your collections.
Yeah, put in your emails in there. Yeah.
Or your emails, whatever you want. I can email, I'm happy to email. I love
email her. Yeah, whatever you want. So type it in there in the chat box. Yeah.
So I can see what your collection is. Somebody asked about drop shipping.
Yes, someone did. Yeah.
What do you want to know about it?
Sorry, I can't really talk, but I just wanted to know what you mean, like what experiences you have with that.
What experiences do you have? Yeah.
Experiences have I had with it? Can I ask in the context, like what, just so I can give you the right answer? Because I have a lot of, I'm going to say always go for it, but not if it costs you anything. That's my, but that's not an answer that's going to give you, always be open to every possible avenue for sales. Never close your top 10 commandment, learned from my dad on Wall Street, when in doubt, make money. Take every single opportunity that comes your way as a conversation point. And if it's not a heck no, like it's not against my ethos, I'm going to listen. What do I need to make it work? Is it an event? Like, do I need photography? Are you gonna have photographers? If who else is gonna be there? Am I gonna get prominent seating? Can I bring guests? Whatever it is, 10th commandment of, when in doubt, make money, but ask for what you want. So if drop shipping is the bottom line that takes for you to, what's your target? Like, who are we going in? Who are we going for? If Nordstrom's approaches you and says, we love your collection, but we're only going to do it on a drop ship basis, you have to think, is it worth it? Mm-hmm. I could be at Nordstrom's, but I have to produce it. What are the costs? Can I pay for it? Am I going to get lost in the shuffle at Nordstrom's? How are they going to promote me? How am I going to stand out? What if I say to them, I'll do the drop shipping, but I need you to promote me. Put me on your OPP. What platforms do you have? Can you put me in your catalogs? I see right here, these are your trend editors. Can I get in touch with your editors? Pitch yourself back when it comes to drop shipping so you can make it work for you, because it could end up costing you money unless you have the inventory available. That it's kind of a high level answer.
Yeah. And it's different for every scenario. So
different every scenario.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the one takeaway that I really say yes to evaluating every opportunity and ask for what you want to make it work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
With the masks, I don't see.
Yeah, Vicky.
Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. You're in the center. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I was gonna ask, like, cause I personally like my privacy, and like I don't really like to put my image really out there. So like I was gonna just my personal background. I wouldn't want to be too public. So what I'm trying to say is I want the brand to be public, but not me. So what I'm trying to say is in terms of marketing, could I just buy Google ads? How is it with the Google ads whenever you're just trying to get your brand name and your logo out there, but you as an individual, you don't really want to be really put on out there.
I hate to say this, but it makes my head spin whenever I think of Google ads. Every time I do them by myself, I'm always like, are you good at it? Because if you're good at it, do it. If you're good at it. OPP is really a great way to build a movement, and then it's really exciting for people to get to know your brand and develop a relationship with it. I understand privacy. I do. But somebody has to represent it. You can hire somebody, maybe you could collaborate with somebody. Mm-hmm. If Google Ads works for you, great. But I feel like people are going to connect with you and your story, and I'm going to buy from you.
Right.
I love your story. I love what you just told me, and I want to buy from you. I don't know, maybe what you could do is videos. You could absolutely put videos in ads, and then I get to know you, because I really like your story. So
you can still stay private, Vicky, but you can do it in a way, you don't have to give your whole life story away, but you could talk about why you want to start this brand, what brought you to that, but not delving into too much, just a little bit, like a teaser. Mm-hmm. Because you've already piqued everyone's interest and everything. So giving us that whole little segment of how you came up with the name and everything and why, just something like that, you know. But remember, brands, with why people identify with them and the names and the, you know, the people behind it, it's that story, you know. And then we have a question from Claudia. So
I
afterwards.
have time for one more question.
Okay,
Sorry,
one more. Okay.
Answer anybody's questions later, but I have time right now for
that's
one
okay.
more.
You guys can email Daniella, you know. So, okay, Claudia, and then.
Okay, so I actually have a question about like when you're trying to research your market, like if you're, let's say, starting on your own, you're starting your brand on your own, how do you start researching your market by yourself? Like, is there a way, like, can you reach out to people? Is there like a certain like website that you can go to figure that out? Because I have a hard time like trying to figure out, like, when people say, oh, you need to research your market, but it's like, how do you start out doing that?
Sure. Can you create a quiz? You know, I'm, what's the name of your line? I'm Claudia's line. I'm Claudia's line. I'd love to get your feedback. Here's a quiz. What size are you? What colors do you like? Does this fit? If I tell you this story, does it resonate with you? How did she do it? Somebody else recently told me they did like a Google quiz, and it went to like thousands of people, and they got a lot of market research. Yeah. So if you can create a little quiz of what your ethos are, and ask the questions of, like, you know, price point, color, fit, what would motivate you to buy. How did she do it? I can ask her how she did it. She got a lot of answers.
You could do a survey like Google Forms. Use that.
Another one,
you know?
Survey Monkey, yeah.
Survey Monkey, or Google Forms even has it, you know. And if you have a lot of followers on Instagram, ask them, you know, would they take a minute to do a survey for you? You know, because that's another way of collecting emails. But there's different ways that you could do it if you send it out. And then there's also, to do the research, it's kind of like, know who your target market is, and looking around and, you know, reading like certain like reports, like I told you guys, like there's Mintel and everything that kind of, you know, summarizes what is going on, especially now with COVID, like who's buying or ordering a lot of food, for example, to be delivered to the homes, you know, who's using Uber Eats and DoorDash and all that. They did a whole thing on that. But surveys, you know, like what Daniella said, that helps as well. And you can send it out, blast it to your family, friends, have them send it out, and then see, you know, ask like what age range, so you can have boxes like, are you in this age range? And then you can see how many are being surveyed in that range, and if those are the answers that you're looking for. I guess it's kind of doing a little bit of groundwork, you know, to do that. But the surveys, you know, like Survey Monkey, Google Forms, those are all things that could help you. You know, think of what it is that you want to know. Is it to show some silhouettes, showing prints or colors, asking people, do you like this forest green or this burnt orange? Kind of things like that, you know, to give you feedback.
Also, another thing just to add to it, if you have like 5 stores, like where do you vision this? You have a vision. What if you have, just write down 5 stores. Anthropologie is hard to get an answer from. So, you know, any of like Nordstrom, that's like the bigger places are a little bit harder to get an answer from. But if you have sort of like 5 places of mind, use the script, use that script. Hi, I'm Claudia. I have this incredible line. This is who I'm targeting. Your store is just phenomenal. I have a survey because I want to make sure that what I'm creating is totally in line with what you're doing. Would you have 30 seconds just to eyeball my survey and give me some feedback?
That's a great idea. Yeah. Like a smaller store, because yeah, like the Nordstroms and all those big ones. Yeah, you know, it's very hard to get them to respond or anything, but I like that. Yeah, the smaller stores, like envision first, Claudia, where do you envision this? You know, and who that customer is. And we can talk more about that, you know, because if we're talking about also with your senior project, so you have a better idea of your target customer and everything. But once you are out there, there's so many different ways, that you could do that. You could even post it. Couldn't she post it like if she has a lot of contacts on like LinkedIn or Facebook?
You can, and I would preface it with the script of, I'm going to market and your advice is invaluable to my future.
Yeah.
I want to create designs that dazzle and delight, that are what you need, because I understand that today's consumer is shopping for today, but I know tomorrow is going to be different. Dazzle and delight in a short way. Can anybody weigh in? This quiz will take you 60 seconds. Usually they're 5 minutes, but that's okay. Can anybody weigh in? This quiz will take you 60 seconds so I can prepare my line going forward. Another good place, here's actually a really good place. I don't even know why it's coming to me delayed. Facebook groups. Create and Cultivate has a really strong Facebook presence, a couple 100,000. Find Facebook groups, because this is not soliciting for any sales. This is pure research. So you can find your tribe there in quantities, and people will engage if you ask your questions. So use Facebook groups for things like that. That's an excellent resource to go big. You could probably keep the advice that the coaches that I work with, they'll say, find 2 to 4, like 3 or 4 groups that you're in alignment with that have a following of like 200 to 300,000 people, and you will be flooded with responses. You guys, I have to go pick up my daughter from preschool, but this to me is delicious. I would love to. This is just delicious. Thank you so much, Julia, for.
Thank you, Daniela. And I'll be in touch, because they'll be doing their projects and everything, but I'll be in touch, because
this is so great. I'm gonna check out everybody's collection. You dropped your email. You have, I'm sure I dropped there's my contact. You can find me on Instagram all the time. You guys, I'm so proud of you. Keep doing your art. Bring your art into the world. That is your gift, and I cannot wait for you to like live your dreams.
Thank you. Everybody else stay on, but thank you so much, Daniela. I'll be in touch.
You got it. I'm just saving the chat so I have everybody's contacts. Bye, everyone.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Okay. Let's see. There she goes. Okay. I know it's a lot for you guys to take in and everything, you know, because you still have a long ways to, not long ways, but you know, you still have some ways to go and everything. But I also wanted to tell, I took some notes and everything. Claudia, another way that you can get your survey is to join these groups. And one thing that I suggest you guys join is a group called Girl Boss. They have a community, and they actually have those, so it's like different members, different little pods that you can join, like collectives. So like, well, there's one for fashion designers, there's one for consultants, it's one for fashion stylists, et cetera, et cetera. So I've like joined all the fashion ones, and people will post questions and they post surveys. So there's a lot of ladies in there that say, you know what, I'm thinking about launching this vegan handbag line. I have some ideas and images. Can you just take a few moments out of your time and give me feedback? And I've done a lot of those surveys because it's very helpful to everybody else, okay? So that's one thing. I'll send you guys that link. The Create and Cultivate one that Daniela mentioned too, there is a workshop or seminars and various workshops and everything on the 29th of September. And I think I sent you guys the link in a previous announcement, or maybe it was in one of the PowerPoints. I'll resend that to you. Join that. Do that if you're available, or if you can't attend it, at least register. And then you can always watch it again, I believe, so you can have those contacts. But that's like uber important to make all of those connections. And when it comes to like specifics about like, how do I find like a source for blanks, whether it's organics or anything like that, let's talk about that, you know, with your one-on-ones, or if you're looking for a cut and sew place, because I can help you guys. But just know that before you take that leap, you got to have a business plan. And that business plan has to have all of this stuff researched. And to work on a business plan, it's not something you can work on over the weekend, you know, it'll take you a weekend. it could take you a few months because you have to research your customer base. And Claudia, I can help you with that, and how do you find your customers, and for all of you. Also, it's important to know what you want to launch. So you have to have your concepts in there. You have to have your price points. You have to know how the distribution is going to be. You also have to have a list of who the people are involved in your business. If it's just you, are you going to hire or work with freelancers later on? I mean, there's a whole bunch of things to do with a business plan, because before you can even meet with a factory, they want to see what your intentions are. If it's just like, well, I'm thinking of doing a line, I would have this or that. If you're all over the place, they don't have time to sit and try to work it out with you. They want to see that business plan. They also want to see what your investment is going to be. So if you're working with a factory, you're going to have to put 50% down. They're going to tell you what their minimums are. So if they tell you, okay, we can do these 6 garments, small capsule collection, but we can do a minimum, like let's say it's a small run. So if you work with a factory that does small production, you need to sell a minimum 500 of each. And then we can start, doing the production for you. But before we can even give you, schedule it that we would go into production, you have to give us 50% down. So then your goal is for whatever time. So you have 6 garments and you have to sell 500 of each. You've got to go out there and hustle and get purchase orders for those 3,000 garments, because the production, you can't block a factory and their time without putting down money first. So you've put down your 50%, you got to hustle. And then you've got to get those purchase orders, from the retailers that you want your products to be in those stores. And that's where the selling comes in. So for every yes answer you're going to get from a retailer, you're probably going to get about 10 no's. And that's just how it is. So that's like a whole workshop and class on business plans and how to launch and everything. But there's different ways to get your creativity out there to even test the waters. As she said, like you could do blanks. If you're good at graphics or things like that, you can work with a company. There's Printful, there's Art of Wear. There's so many different ones and everything. But I can work with each of you, in terms of what your goals are. So whether it's this semester or next semester, anytime. But there's different ways to do that. And then like Vicki, you said having a platform with Wix. I have like a Zazzle store, which is all the graphics and everything that are printed on various products for kids, adults, t-shirts and water bottles, etc. It's all Zazzle, but on my website, I have images of the products. So if people click on it, it takes them automatically to Zazzle. They place their order through Zazzle. Zazzle prints it. Zazzle sends it out. So I don't have to worry about any inventory or anything like that. My prices include my markup. So I get a percentage from each of those products sold, but it gives me an idea of which, graphics are working, what colors are working or things like that. But you can, there's various different companies. Like I think there's Redbubble and there's Minted. And I mean, there's different, ones that you could do print on demand. There's so many actually right now. So that's a way to get your, test the waters. If you want to do cut and sew, that's a whole different entity. That's where you have to make sure that you work with the factory and have your financing in place. So that's how that works. Okay. So, let me quickly, let me share my screen.